this extraordinary letter, a memorandum that the Attorney General of the United States issued yesterday. Practically every day brings new reports about this administration weaponizing the federal bureaucracy to go after political opponents. Frankly, I don't think we've ever seen anything like it in American history. I mean, for those of us who missed the McCarthy era, I guess this president is intent on bringing it to us, but with new force and new power and new urgency, unlike anything we've ever seen. Are you aware of any time in American history when an attorney general has directed the FBI to begin to intervene in school board meetings, local school board meetings?
I'm not aware, and I'm not aware that is not going on. Let me be very,
Really,
very
this
clear.
isn't about local school board meetings? That's not the subject of the memorandum? I thought that was in the memorandum.
The memorandum is quite clear. It's one page, and it asks the U.S. attorney community and the FBI special agents in charge to convene state and local law enforcement partners to ensure that there's an open line of communication to address threats, to address violence, and that's the appropriate role of the Department of Justice to make sure that we are addressing criminal conduct and violence.
At local school board meetings, let me just ask you this. Is parents waiting sometimes for hours to speak at a local school board meeting to express concerns about critical race theory or the masking of their students, particularly young children? Is that in and of itself, is that harassment and intimidation? Is waiting to express one's view at a school board meeting harassment and intimidation?
As the Attorney General's memorandum made quite clear, spirited debate is welcome, is a hallmark of this country. It's something we all should engage in.
No, I don't think so, Ms. Monaco. With all due respect, it didn't make it quite clear. It doesn't define those terms, nor does it define harassment or intimidation. It talks about violence. I think we can agree that violence shouldn't be condoned or looked aside from in any way, swept under the rug at all. But harassment and intimidation, what did those terms mean in the context of a local school board meeting? I mean, this seems to, in the First Amendment context, we talk about the chill to speech. If this isn't a deliberate attempt to chill parents from showing up at school board meetings for their elected school boards, I don't know what is. I mean, I'm not aware of anything like this in American history. We're talking about the FBI. You're using the FBI to intervene in school board meetings. That's extraordinary.
Senator, I have to respectfully disagree. That is not what...
Point me to an instance.
The attorney...
Liar! You are lying. Absolutely lying. I call BS. I call BS. Bullshit. Bullshit. Bullshit.
The General's memorandum made quite clear that violence is not appropriate. Spirited public debate on a whole range of issues is absolutely what this country is all about.
Then why is it being investigated by the FBI?
It is not. When and if any...
It is being investigated. She's just lying through her teeth. She's lying. Absolutely lying. That's what we call BS. The BS meter just broke. You know how much money I've had to spend on BS meters? I keep having to send them back to Amazon because as soon as we put them up next to the speech patterns of these people in these videos, the needle goes all the way berserko and breaks. I mean, these BS meters, they cannot handle the BS that is coming out of the mouths of people like this.
Situation turns to violence, then that is the appropriate role of law enforcement to address.
And here again, we're not talking about it. Yes, we know that, man. If somebody threatens somebody, if somebody commits an act of violence, if somebody does something, that's against the law, we know that. Simple question we're just asking is, and simple question that you guys out there want to ask this lady, and what Senator Hawley is asking her, which she is not answering, is what does that have to do with your right to free speech? Where are you drawing the line? Where are you crossing? If somebody comes up and says that I am just upset that my child had to wear a damn mask, is that threatening? Is that crossing the line? Is that violence? The Attorney General of the United States seems to think so. The Department of Justice seems to think so. The FBI seems to think so. That's what's going on over here.
address it.
Oh, no, the memorandum covers more than violence. It talks about intimidation. It talks about harassment. So I'm asking you to draw some lines. We do this all the time in the First Amendment context. This is the sum and substance of First Amendment law. So I expect that she'll be available and willing to do it now. Tell me where the line is with parents expressing their concerns, waiting for hours in these school board meetings. We've all seen the videos. This happened in my state. Parents have waited for hours. Sometimes the school board meetings have been ended before they can speak because the school board doesn't want to hear it.
Cowards.
And now parents are told that if they wait and they express their views, that they may be investigated for intimidation?
I don't know who's telling them that, Senator. The job of the Justice.
It's the memorandum. What do you think? It's the Department of Justice, it's the FBI. It's you by not basically saying it. What do you mean you don't know who's telling them that? The memorandum is telling them that. That's what's going out there.
Department is to investigate crimes when a situation turns to violence, when and if a situation turns to violence. It's the job of the Justice Department and local law enforcement to address that. The Attorney General's memorandum simply asked the U.S. Attorney community, the FBI, and their counterparts to ensure that state and local law enforcement has an open line of communication to report threats, whether they happen in the context of election officials being threatened, whether they happen in the context of members of Congress being threatened, which the FBI responds to on a regular basis, as is appropriate. The job of the Justice Department is to address criminal conduct.
You know, all I can say is this is truly extraordinary. I think you know it is. It's unprecedented. You can't point to a single instance where anything like this has happened before. And I think parents across this country are going to be stunned to learn, stunned, that if they show up at a local school board meeting, by the way, where they have the right to appear and be heard, where they have the right to say something about their children's education, where they have the right to vote, and you are attempting to intimidate them. You are attempting to silence them. You are attempting to interfere with their rights as parents and, yes, with their rights as voters. This is wrong. This is dangerous. And I cannot believe that an Attorney General of the United States is engaging in this kind of conduct. And frankly, I can't believe that you are sitting here today defending it. I intend to get answers to these questions. You won't answer my questions. I'm going to get answers to these questions. Mr. Chairman, we need to have a hearing on this subject.
Folks, that's what it's all about. These guys they don't care about our rights. They don't care about our First Amendment rights or Second Amendment rights. They don't care about the Bill of Rights. These people don't give a rip about those. We know exactly what that memorandum was done. It was also, remember, supposedly a letter from the National School Board, which then was basically pulled back because of all of the pushback and blowback against it. And they apologized in some of the communities and some of the National School Board charters. They said, we don't want to be a part of this anymore. We don't want to be a part of that organization. They pulled out. And all Senator Hawley is trying to do is ask these people and say, and they keep going back to that. Yeah, of course, we know that. But they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to get the Justice Department involved in local law enforcement. You have to get the FBI involved in local law enforcement. That only comes when local law enforcement ask for that kind of help. Here, they're going out of their way to basically say, oh, you didn't even ask for the help, but we're going to send them to you anyways. Here's a memorandum that basically says if you feel like it's threatening, if you feel like, their voice is getting too high, if you feel like they're talking too much, or you don't like what they're talking about, you don't like the subject matter, oh, well, then you can just basically call it violence and say you were threatening a public official, and we'll toss your butt in jail. I mean, that's what's going on over here. This is wrong. This is dangerous. This is using the arms of the law. This is what the Biden administration has done. They have weaponized. The political discourse in this community. They've weaponized it to go against a political discourse that's occurring. We have a First Amendment right to say what we want. We have every right to go to a school board meeting as concerned parents and tell them elected officials. And if we want to raise our voices, we have every right to raise our voices there. We're not talking about, acts of violence. We're not talking about threatening. We're not talking about anything like that. We're just talking about going there to speak our minds. That's it, plain and simple. And you can't be thrown in jail for speaking your mind. That's not what the First Amendment is about. Anyways, we certainly appreciate you taking time to watch this video here with us. And if you haven't already done so, you've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your guest host for this episode. My name is Dr. Shaikh. And if you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button. What are you waiting for? Hit that notification bell, like and share and follow us. Let everybody know. We certainly appreciate it. And as always, leave with my final thought, which is when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're so wrong. Well, take care, everyone. Take care and stay safe.